I'm known for saying, and actually had opportunity to say in a video recently that I've done a sort of anime series review, that I'm the type of person who really likes to challenge my own perceptions and never be set in my ways and never think I've got everything pegged. I always want to evolve my horizons and my expectations and perceptions and ideas of the world and everything, and challenge my perceptions every step of the way. um, and that's why I welcome people's input on, episodic anime coverage, movies, TV shows, whatever it is that I happen to be talking about in a video. Not so much reviews. I think if I like literally discuss my approach to doing videos, it's usually to share what I love about a thing. The emotion I'm feeling behind it, and the emotiveness of the characters and the characterizations, the dynamics and relationships there. Um, what is a character's impetus, and all these kinds of things are my focus usually. And I sometimes look in depth, sometimes I just kind of look at it cursorily. Um, but I have to admit, from time to time, even as open minded as I am to other people's perspectives on things, sometimes I run into somebody who has just, they're set in their ways that this is the way it ought to be, and I just cannot understand where they're coming from. I just can't wrap my mind around how they are so cocksure and self assured that their outline or their reaction or their impressions or whatever it is the right one. I feel like they're not necessarily opening their own perspective and seeing a larger scope, seeing the bigger picture. And sometimes it's hard to talk to people like that. And I think sometimes maybe I even give off that impression of I've made a decision, and I've been open minded, but this is the point that I've come to where I've made a decision on the circumstances, whatever those may be. Um, and I'm just sort of definitive in my description of why I have that viewpoint. It's not that I am then, my viewpoint is then unalterable, but it's that is the most common denominator way I feel like you should end on the subject, and then I really don't want to talk about it any further in a sense, but I will engage to a point. And it's just interesting to me that, you know, sometimes in a conversation, whereas I feel like maybe I give that effect off, although not very frequently. I've been having a couple of conversations recently where there's been a cutoff on the other side, because obviously we're not just coming from the same place. We're not going to see eye to eye on it for whatever reason. And I don't feel like I'm right or wrong. I just feel like this is my perspective, but I feel like the other person, whereas I'm trying as much as I can to understand where they're coming from and understand what their viewpoint is and explain why I don't see it that way, I feel like there's a cutoff on their end, like, well, I don't want to hear it. I've already made up my mind, fuck you. So sometimes that's frustrating. Sometimes it's frustrating to encounter people whose concept of things and ideas of things just seem so inherently wrong to your mind, and just I want to face palm, like literally just, oh, what are you thinking? Maybe you're not thinking enough. Maybe you're too emotionally invested in something. Maybe, it's something too personally connected to you. Maybe you've already made up your mind some time ago, and, you're finding a reason for everything to fall into line with that. And I don't know what exactly it is. It's an interesting experience when you're talking about any number of topics. This is, talking about the broad range of things that I am known to talk about, from mostly entertainment stuff, but sometimes I will even talk about religious aesthetics and, that kind of thing, how it influences, whether for better or worse, humanity in my own estimations, and societal things, and, all that kind of stuff. And I've had conversations touching upon each of these subjects recently where it's been the outcome that, whoever is whoever it is that I'm talking to is just coming from a place I really can't wrap my mind around, and they do not seem unfaltering or open minded enough to question their own perspective or see any other perspective. Like, in one case, I posted a comment somewhere outlining why I thought one way while the person, I was responding to thought another way, and not even one, like, acknowledgement of my post, because I guess this person just it's just too beneath them to comprehend what I'm saying, or to see it from my point of view. Just completely ignored the comment, and that's one of the frustrating things. Like, I want to engage in a conversation, I want to better understand things for myself, I want to maybe start the ball rolling of you the viewer, you the listener, you the other person in the conversation, to maybe think a little more about things, maybe open your mind to other possibilities and everything like that. One time, very recently with the anime series Roka no Yusha, did I have a lengthy conversation that got a little heated back and forth between me and another person who we really didn't see eye to eye on a particular aspect of how much of later elements of the story were perceptible in the anime as it was. And this was a thorough conversation where, as heated as it got, we ended it amicably. We both understood where each other was coming from, and we were able to say, well, it's just how I see it on my end, this is how you see it on your end. We understand where each of us is coming from, but we can't necessarily agree on it. And but hey, the conversation was awesome because we explored it. And we either strengthened our own perspectives on it, or, we grew to consider others, and everything like that. And what's more, we look forward to maybe talking about something else in the future. That's the kind of conversation, that's the kind of back and forth I want. I don't want people just so set in their ways that, forget it, I'm done talking, and that's it. And unfortunately, that seems to be the majority of the case, these days at least.